costumes from $1.83 to $3.99, like $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, superheroes, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Make Halloween fun and easy. Make just one stop at Woolworth or Woolco.
Welcome back. If you may have noticed, we're already here for Halloween, which is a few days away. So we're celebrating the holiday. And we're also celebrating a new guest, brand new guest. This guy, he's a star of stage and screen. His new show, Casey Blazer, is about to be airing on another network. He's also got a new album of soft ballads. It's called Hay is for Horses, and it will be available in stores next week. He's also the only man to ever dribble a basketball up Mount St. Helens. Please welcome David Manchester. David.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah, good to see you.
Oh, boy. What's this?
Yeah, just throw that shit on the floor. Yeah, it's some other guy.
Oh. All right, well, it's great to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule. So listen, David, since it's near Halloween, we're going to talk about our favorite Halloween films. Actually,
I told my publicist I didn't want to do any Halloween-related shows. I get that a lot for some reason.
Okay, well, you can just chalk this up as just any movie recommendation. If they happen to be horror or Halloween kind of vibey, then so be it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So all you need is 3 movies. I'm going to give my 3 movies, you give your 3 movies. Okay. And then hopefully the viewers will take our advice and watch them and maybe get the Halloween spirit.
I'm always about Halloween spirit. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Your voice sounds familiar. It's got that gravelly whiskey tone to your voice.
Wow, that's an inside joke. It's actually on my album, Hay is for Horses.
Okay. So let's, we can start off any time.
Okay.
How about you give me your number 3, I'll give you my number 3, and then we'll go.
Okay. Well, my number 3 best movie to get me into the Halloween spirit, not that I need much pushing, is Mad Monster Party. Yes, by Rankin and Bass. They did all those Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town movies.
Dude, would you call this a movie? This is not a movie, though, right?
Yeah, I think this is a movie. Yeah, it would air on KTLA's Family Film Festival, hosted by Thom Hatton.
Oh, Thom Hatton.
Yeah.
Rondo Hatton's brother.
Yeah. Luckily, he didn't get any of the acromegaly.
Well, I do remember that show. I'm not going to call it a movie. I'm going to call it a show. And I remember the animation was kind of sloppy compared to. Well, let's not say. I'm not going to say that Rudolph is Pixar quality, but I think it was a step down as far as claymation or stop motion animation.
Seriously?
Yeah, Mad Monster Party.
Really?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't like Mad Monster Party?
I wish it was better. I think it's fine. It definitely fits what we're talking about as far as giving me Halloween vibes.
Yeah, man. I mean, as soon as it hits October, I start feeling like, hey, man, I got to put it Mad Monster Party. Starring Dracula, the Wolfman, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the coup de grace was getting Boris Karloff himself to voice Dr. Frankenstein.
Doctor, and it looked like him too.
Yeah,
great designs.
Boris.
I'll give you that. If anything, I'll give you
Jack Davis, I believe.
Oh yeah, right.
The
Slim Jim Dracula, right? Yeah, that's right. Oh,
Yeah.
I never thought of that. That makes sense. Yeah, Jack Davis, one of my favorite artists of all time.
Yeah, man.
So I know Phyllis Diller.
She's the bride of Frankenstein in there.
Listen, I'm going to talk about my number 3 pick right now.
Okay, please do.
It's a movie, I don't know if you saw it, but this definitely gives you Halloween vibes, and it has since I was a little kid, because we had the Super 8 of this, and my dad, we had a handful of Super 8 films, and then as a treat, we used to, every Labor Day we had the whole neighborhood, and we'd come over and have picnics and whatnot, and at night my dad would put up that Super 8 projector and project these. We had the Harlem Globetrotters, we had in black and white Harlem Globetrotters movie. We had a Three Stooges movie.
Yeah.
It was the one with the boxing with anyway. And we had, if you remember Super 8s, they were 8 minutes long, right? And then we had Revenge of the Creature of Black Lagoon. He tips over the car, right?
Yeah.
And all these 3 right now, there's still my favorites of all time. And this last one was it's called Curse of the Demon or Night of the Demon. It's also called. You ever seen this?
No.
Man, bro, so good. It was made in 1957, but the Super 8 was horrifying to me because there's this scene at the. Okay, so you got to find this movie and watch it, and the effects are so good. Still, to this day, made in 1957, black and white, Satanism, when that was a really creepy thing to even... It's directed by this guy named Jacques...
Cousteau.
You sure you're not Jeff Allen? Anyways.
Never heard of him.
So, this guy directed Cat People.
Oh, yeah.
Just know that it's creepy, it's super creepy, black and white, and... The most horrifying shot to me at the end, where there's this paper, and I don't want to give too much away, but the shots of the demon, he's like, in this one scene, he's like King Kong size, and he picks up this guy's body. It's the most horrifying thing, but he holds the body like this, so it's kind of like at this angle, and this crazy demon, and he starts going like this, whacking the body, just like this, pawing it. And the legs are kicking.
Oh, fuck.
And he's just whacking it.
Oh, my God.
Bro, you'll see what I mean. I'm looking at it as a little 6-7-year-old. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen. And it's still, to this day, because I went and rewatched it, I'm like, oh yeah, let me see if this is a good movie. Full, instead of it's just 8 minutes. And man, it's creepy and weird and, Satanism and... the guy, the Satanist has like this creepy beard, that Anton LaVey kind of vibe. But look for that one. That's a good one.
Wow, that sounds great, like a haunting scene.
Yeah, and I have to say too, little research I did on it. The director didn't want to show the demon. Like he was like, no, I don't want to show this, and I think that might have been a mistake because it's the most creepiest. I know you've seen the monster, because if you know anything about, if you're a monster kid, you've seen the still of it. It's kind of like the monster of Peter's Blancos, where he's holding the head, Like everybody, you may not have seen the movie, but you know that image.
Yeah.
It's just like this. I know you've seen the
God damn, that image show in my head. Creepy. Oh, it's stuck there now.
Creepy.
I haven't even seen it yet.
All right. What's your number 2?
I got to say, my number 2...
Halloween recommendation.
Creep Show. George A. Romero and Stephen King's Creep Show. One of the best comic book horror movies that totally gets me in the Halloween spirit. Just from the very opening scene with John Harrison's music. Oh my God. It's fucking wonderful. The lighting, which as we tried to emulate here. And recently, within the past 5 years, I discovered that the little boy in the beginning was Stephen King's son.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Please, Daddy.
Oh, he writes too?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I found it with your dirty magazines.
Yeah.
You're a little sneak too, you little shit. And it's an anthology movie, if you're unaware. Father's Day, and the father comes out of the grave, and he wants his Father's Day cake, because everybody knows every Father's Day their kids make them a cake. God damn it, Bedelia! I want my cake! And god damn, it's fantastic. You got Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson and Franny from Dawn of the Dead. And Leslie Nielsen this was before Naked Gun. This is before he was doing just straight out comedy. Mm-hmm. So Leslie Nielsen, he loses his mind in this, and it's Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
Oscar worthy acting. My God, it is so great.
A long time.
But when he's backing up and he closes the door, he's like afraid of the doorknob and he's backing up and backing away from the door. That guy, I love the fact that you got these name actors. And Ted Danson, before Ted Danson was Ted Danson. But they're in this B movie, probably was looked down upon by Hollywood, right? And they're giving it their all. It's really special to rewatch.
And what is it? Hal Holbrook, right?
Hal Holbrook is in the greatest segment of all, The Crate.
Yeah.
And oh my God,
Bernie Wrightson art, right?
Bernie Wrightson, yes, he did the art inside the comic book, but there's nothing of it in the movie, though.
Isn't there? Okay, I'm remembering because when you the crate, remember the drawing of the monster in the crate in the.
Oh yeah, it does kind of go to like a drawn version of his eyes at the end. The lonesome death of Jordy Verrill, and it's Stephen King, his big acting debut. Maybe he
did great.
He was fantastic.
I didn't know that was him.
Yeah.
After when I saw it when I was a kid, and then that's the famous writer Stephen King. I'm like, wow, that guy. He seemed like a character actor.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
Yeah, and they gave him those big fake buck teeth that he kept for the rest of his life.
Listen, have you seen Creepshow? Is it 3 or 4? Did you? Wow. Not 2. 2's passable.
They have not made a Creepshow 4.
Then it's 3. Bro.
I have not seen that. I think that was just some student film.
Right? You're right? Because you're not joking.
I'm guessing I didn't even give it a time of day.
Watch the first 3 minutes. The animation, it's animated. It looks.
It's animated?
I don't even want to say that. I don't even want to say it's animated. It is the worst shit you. It looks like.
Oh, these fingers.
An 8-year-old did it. Honest to God, it's so bad. And the stories, pure garbage. It's really bad. Well, what do you think of the show on Shudder? Have you seen any of that?
I plead the 5th.
It's I can tell because who is it? Nicotero does it. But it's one of those shows where, let's say someone has a grenade and they toss it off screen, and then there's a light and some smoke that comes. It's one of those kind of vibes. But there was some okay stuff.
Yeah, they I think all of their budget goes into the monster of that episode. Yeah, like they've got their limitations and side story. I don't know if I told you this, but Kirkman introduced me via email to Nicotero. Did I tell you that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And said, why don't you let him direct an episode?
What?
And Nicotero said, hey, man, keep in touch. And so as each episode would come out, I'd say, hey, man, great episode. I really like this part of it. And I would focus on the positive. I still hold out hope that he's going to go, hey, man, I never saw these emails. But anyways, so Creepshow, Halloween, all around. This movie is fun. It's gory. It's scary. But mostly it's fucking fun.
Okay, so my number 2 pick is The Witch from 2015.
The Witch?
Yeah, it's 2 V's. I'm not a big crazy fan of highbrow horror, right? But I wouldn't consider this highbrow. It's really just creepy, and it's a slice of life the way it was in America back then,
What century did this take place?
I think it was close to Salem witch trials, and it was filmed in New England.
Yeah,
and I know that Eggers took the care to make this as authentic as he could, because he used a lot of the vernacular of that era. So it's crazy how stilted their conversations were, the way they spoke, and how it was just somehow religion worked its way into just everyday conversation. It was so crazy back then, you know, and you could get, well, they did. I mean, if you remember the movie, they got cast out, and they had to go off in the woods and just make it on their own.
Fend for themselves.
Kind of thing.
And they had a baby, right?
Yeah, it was creepy, and then the sun and
That's got good creepy vibes.
Yeah, man.
Good
It's
creepy
so good.
vibes.
Yeah, but it definitely. You know what's funny too? Because I think, oh yeah, that was black and white. And
What?
I look back at it, and it's not filmed in black and white, but just the way it's in my brain, I pictured as because I think all the still images are in black and white, and I always thought it's just got that creepy Halloween vibe that I love, and that whole part of the country. It's funny too because now we're out here in Hollywood land, and I never got that. I don't get that Halloween vibe out here with the dying leaves and trees and you know, like where I grew up in eastern Pennsylvania. You know, there's those old graveyards with. This is one graveyard in my hometown that I would go on Halloween just to creep myself out, and it had headstones. Headstones people were buried before we were even a free country in like the 1715. You'd see a tombstone of. I'm like, this guy died before we were even free country, and it's just sitting here in this cemetery right off of the downtown. So that area of the country, I really love the Halloween vibe. It's my favorite holiday.
So you would go to the graveyard to creep yourself out. Was that like a form of masturbation?
Is that what yeah, when I say creep myself out, yeah. No, I would do that. Yeah. Well,
that's awesome.
Something fun, you know. I'd hop the fence because it's fenced off.
Yeah.
Just you know, and I'm not a weird Satanist kind of guy. I just love the scary vibe of Halloween,
the imagery,
and the smell of the dead leaves, and just I love it.
The dead cats, killing it for Satan.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my number 2 pick.
That is a really good creepy film.
All right, we're at number 1, huh?
We're number one.
Number 1 pick.
Number 1 pick.
Halloween season.
For Halloween season, for me, it's my all-time favorite film, Dawn of the Dead. All-time favorite. George A. Romero's masterpiece. It was a battle between that and Day of the Dead, but for me, October, Halloween month, these movies, they have to be watched. What's funny is we usually end up watching them Father's Day because I get my kids, hey, it's Father's Day. You're going to watch it with me now.
Oh, we tried that wait a minute. I do the same thing. When it's Father's Day, I say it's dad's rule on the TV all the time. And my kids knew that growing up. 2 things. I watched every Father's Day. I'd start in the morning, and then in the afternoon I watch. So in the morning I watch Little Rascals, right? All the old Little Rascals. Swear to God, this is true. You can ask me. So I watched the Little Rascals, and then I transitioned to the Honeymooners.
Oh boy,
the original Honeymooners, and that's it. And that was my vibe the whole time. Nice. But I should throw in like a horror movie then.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought you were going to say that. No, it's just TV shows.
No, it's just, that's fun too because it's open ended. I can watch all 49 or whatever, 39 Honeymooners if I wanted.
Yeah.
But the Little Rascals, I could watch those. Oh my God. Yeah. Best comedy takes ever. I think I told you this told Jeff Allen this when I was doing animation. For some reason, the comedy is just, timing is perfect on those. Anyways. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about Little Rascals.
You know who else likes
What about those remakes? Who?
Yeah, those are better. Those are great.
Yeah.
You know who really likes the Dawn of the Dead? Is this guy named fucking Jeff Allen. He always wears a Dawn of the Dead shirt. Anyways, I don't know if you've ever met him. He says he's a Hollywood mainstay, but I don't think he is. But he always wears that fucking shirt, never washes it. Anyways, go ahead.
All right.
Tell me about your pick.
Oh.
Dawn of the Dead, huh?
Dawn of the Dead by Zack Snyder and James Gunn. It was really great. Fast running zombies.
Yeah, because the old one isn't. Yeah, right.
They were really fast. Dawn of the Dead, the original. Product of its time, but stands the test of time. I am so in love with that movie. I got to see it on the big screen for the very first time because all I saw as a kid was Fangoria. And I remember it as a 2-page spread of the film strip of the guy standing in the room before he gets his head blown off with his hands in his pockets and just looking at every frame of his head exploding. And then watching, what was it called? It was called Sneak Previews when Siskel and Ebert were on Channel KCET. And they were reviewing Dawn of the Dead, and it showed the zombies sitting in the water fountain at the mall, just picking up quarters and nickels and pennies and just dropping them. And that fascinated me as a kid. I was like, because that was a dream of mine as a kid, is to dive in there and get all that money. I knew it was wrong, though. But boy, if you could have all that money, you could go to the Sega Center and you could play all day. But yeah, it grabbed my imagination. And by the time I was finally old enough to see it, it was on video cassette. So anyway, I got to see it in 3D a couple of years ago. They played it on Fathom Events or something. And I got to see it with my son. My son, Chuck.
Chuck Manchester?
Yeah, Chuck Manchester. It was fantastic, by God. And then I remember I was in L.A. at the Orpheum Theater when Goblin played. Claudio Simonetti's Goblin played the music live, and I was sitting next to Thom Savini and Greg Nicotero, and we were all sitting there together, Dave Manchester and Thom Savini. And
I
Greg.
was there too.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that great? We got to see them live, play the music.
Yeah. There was this other guy with me too. Fucking tall prick. I can't remember. He was wearing a Dawn of the Dead shirt too. Fuck, what was it? Anyways,
I think his name was Harvey Tallprick.
Tallprick. Yeah. But yeah, I had seen Goblin. I actually saw Goblin twice. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, Dawn of the Dead, all-time greatest movie ever made.
Do you know?
Close second, Day of the Dead.
The old buddy of mine that I mentioned on our Daredevil episode, he's a comic artist, Steve Lieber.
Steve Lieber.
Yeah, he's from Pittsburgh, right?
Oh yeah.
Now he lives in Portland, but and I remember when we had just met because we were at the school in Jersey. And he was my roommate, and he's like, "Yeah, my sister was in Day of the Dead. She was a zombie.
Really?
They filmed it, but, Romero filmed all those in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And he says, yes, there's a scene where it's Day of the Dead where there was that big thing that drops
platform,
down.
the elevator
she's
platform.
on there. And I don't know if she's probably not the one that falls off.
No, that's a
the one that
dude.
falls off is a dude. But
That guy.
She's in, he says, he said
best.
she's in that scene. So,
Oh, okay.
but
He didn't say she's the nurse. She's the cheerleader.
I don't remember. He may have, but this
She's
is
just
this is something he told me in 1980.
Steve Lieber, if you're watching, comment down below and tell us which zombie she was. I want to know.
Right.
That's my second best favorite film of all time.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
All right, man. I don't have anything else to say about that one.
You didn't do your first one.
No. Yeah, I'm
done talking about it. I've been done for the last 20 minutes. Jesus Christ.
All right, so my number one pick, and it's kind of a cop-out, but I am a huge Universal Monsters guy. I love the Creature. I love Frankie. I just love them all. Because when I was a kid, I would always watch Dr. Shock in Philly. He was like, and I hadn't realized, when I grew up, I realized he was basically Zachary. In fact, he looked a lot like Zachary, where was he from? Chicago, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
But
We had Elvira.
Did you? Yeah. It's another great one. But Dr. Shock, he was in Philly, Channel 17, and
What did you have for lunch that day?
he would show two horror films in the day. It was like horror theater and shock theater. So one would come on at 1 o'clock, and then I think the other one would come on at 3 or 2:30 or something like that.
What did you have for lunch that day?
But I used to always sleep with my grandma's on Friday nights, and then I'd wake up and then I'd watch the one horror, and then probably the second one halfway through I'd go home, So I never watched, but I would always watch the black. So that's why I love like them and the Deadly Mantis and all those old big monster movies.
Day of the Triffids.
Day of the Triffids, yeah, I totally remember that. Loving that when I was a kid.
Tarantula.
You know what I used to love too? Killer Shrews. And it's funny because I've seen the Killer Shrews quite a bit lately. I don't know why. It just
Really?
keeps, and
I've never seen that at all.
It's so bad. You know who's the main hero is the guy from
Doug McClure?
No. From Dukes of Hazzard, Sheriff. I'm thinking Buford.
Oh, Lobo.
Yeah, Lobo.
Sheriff Lobo, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Sheriff Lobo's own show?
Yeah, he had his own show.
Where let's head him out, and then all the cop cars are like, every opening credit sequence was that cop cars smashing into each other.
Anyways, I'm getting way off track, I think, but I used to watch a lot of these old black and whites, like the American International Pictures. I loved all those, but then, Universal Monsters was always the...
What about Invaders from Mars?
Great
That one
movie.
creep you the
Great
fuck
movie,
out?
Great movie. Well, I'm thinking of Saucer Men, but that's also a great one too.
Yeah.
Paranoia of the 50s, man.
Yeah, man.
Paranoia, the Red Scare.
Goddamn commies.
But anyways, going back earlier though, this was from 1931. My number one pick would be Frankenstein.
Oh.
It's nothing fancy. It just gives me that vibe because there's a sweet spot where movies are just really creepy. I think when we got into the 40s less so, 50s definitely had that atomic mutation flair to them. But I think early 30s, those are great creepy movies. Oh, and it's sad that I didn't add Bela Lugosi on this list because he's my favorite. And I if you know the backstory of Bela and Boris, like it's very tragic for Bela, and it's I'm happy for Boris, but I just like Bela much better.
Really?
But unfortunately, he's not on this list, and Boris is. But it's just I like Dracula a lot. It's just a more sparse movie. How should I say? It's not. It's just
longer,
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there's less
Dracula.
Less Dracula.
Yeah. Frankenstein.
All
the way through.
You follow his story great.
Yeah.
And it's tragic. And yeah.
I'm kind of related to this guy,
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's my great grandpa.
Well, his name's not Frankenstein. He's Frankenstein.
He changed
monster.
exactly. That's why he adopted the name Manchester.
His last name was Manchester?
That's what eventually he settled on that. He did the Find Your Roots on PBS, and he found out that one of his left foot or his right foot was a Manchester, and he liked that name.
Oh.
And he was like, it's too bad it wasn't my chest that was named Manchester, but his chest was actually from a person named Lilyfoot. Yeah.
But yeah, and Jack Pierce's makeup, insane.
Dude,
it's the standard.
He would not have been, obviously the flat head, right, is iconic as hell. But it was those eyelids, those heavy fucking eyelids, man, that really set him apart.
And so, I know a lot of the trivia from that movie, and I know the Boris was going through hell with that stuff. Also, the sunken in cheeks. He looks different actually when you watch Bride of Frankenstein. He does look slightly different. I think he just gained a little weight, but it makes a difference because his face is so gaunt and sunken in, and he actually, Boris Karloff actually he had a bridge of dentures and he took those out. So I think it's his right cheek. If you watch a good shot of him in the first Frankenstein, there's that sunken in dimple. It looks so creepy.
Yeah.
And his eyelids are just weighed down, and the makeup is just. Then you got Dwight Fry, who's insane. He was Renfield in the Dracula movie, and I think he's actually certified. He actually did spend time in a sanitarium after these movies. He was really nuts. And
That helps.
I think I've mentioned it to you where in the opening shot.
Where he's cutting down the body?
He's cutting down the body.
From the gallows.
And he says, I can tell it wasn't scripted. He just says, look out below. And the body drops. And then he throws the knife down that he used to cut this rope. And he goes, here comes the knife. It's the way he says, you have to watch it. It's so creepy the way he's great.
Yeah.
It's just got some great, and he's, you loon, what was it, in Renfield? When he was Renfield in the original Dracula, the guy calls him a loon. And you got anyway. I named Frankenstein because it's the most iconic and people most. But I think Bride is a great movie, and I think Son of Frankenstein is also a great movie too. So they're all those three. Watch any of those three, and you got some really great Halloween vibes. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. They were all directed by James Whale.
James Whale did 1
Son?
and 2. He did the Bride and the first one. I don't think he did Son, but he may have. Yeah. I might be wrong on that. But I know that somehow Boris and James had it like they weren't getting along. And he had supposedly there was a scene. I think it was he was carrying when the monster was carrying up an embankment or something like. And he kept having Boris do the shot over and over and over again. And supposedly Boris's back got really bad after that. And like during the end of his career, like he'd have to do roles sitting down and stuff like this. He had bad back. Yeah, he was really jacked up. Did you know also, I read this not too long ago, the boots that Frankenstein's monster would wear were actually like functional boots that I think people that worked on like, tarring roads and stuff like that. Yeah. They'd wear that. Those were actually worker boots.
Oh, really?
To wear to
they
stay
didn't design
elevated
those
off
specifically?
Yeah. So you just grab those. Those are actual boots that like workers would wear.
What do you think about Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula?
I mean, it's a movie, Yeah, it's a movie. It's just
Tom Waits as Renfield. That's what made me think about it. I really liked.
Yeah.
I liked him as Renfield.
I mean, look, I love Gary Oldman. He's just one of those guys that can do it all.
Yeah.
It's a little much. I mean, it's just in your face. Like, he's one of those guys that just eats up every scene. And it's too much. Come on, bro. Like, the hair and the fan. It's like, I think a little more subtlety would have been nice.
Really?
With the whole role. And Keanu Reeves with his weird accent.
That was some bad casting.
Come on, man. I like the music a lot.
Yeah.
The music was phenomenal. I don't know. It's fine, there's stuff that it's very questionable.
Yeah. All right. I mean, compared to Megalopolis, I think if it was Francis in his newly discovered prime. But also, what about Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein with one of your favorite actors, Robert De Niro, as the monster? Did you ever see that piece of shit?
I don't think I did.
I think you need to watch that. So, and then we'll figure out where Kenneth Branagh
Robert De Niro
lives.
did the monster.
He was the monster, yeah.
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh was Dr. Frankenstein.
I think you just said Robert Downey Jr.
No, I said De Niro.
No, you didn't.
We got the tape. We'll play it back. About Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein with one of your favorite actors, Robert De Niro Jr. as the monster. Did you ever see that piece?
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr.? I said De Niro, buddy.
All right.
This guy.
Anyway, I
feel like I've known you for almost 30 years. The way we're bantering back and forth.
Here's one thing. This is just me pondering aloud. Monster's flat top, right?
Yeah.
You ever think like, why does he have like a flat top? My guess is that when Frankenstein was creating him, chopped the top of his skull off, and put it in there. Said, I don't need the cap, but I don't need to put the skull back on. So this is just flat. Leave it. Fuck it. Okay, so if you're gonna make a proper monster right now, wouldn't you just get a guy's head and just chop the top? Because you've seen those guys with like the dented-in heads, like the big scoop out of their head. And
I hate looking at those guys.
It's horrible, right?
Fucking
But I'm assuming that's what Jack Pierce was trying, right? Why would you make his head flat?
Yeah.
So
brilliant.
So chop off like me.
No, he made it flat. Well, thank God.
No.
Pierce did that, obviously.
Well,
but what I like to think is he chopped off the top of his head and threw it away. Like Igor threw it away or something, right? He's like, oh shit, what do I do? The skull was gone, but he still had the scalp. And he didn't have a skull top for it, so he got some plywood.
Well, like, should he have a brown head like you?
Well, this is years and years of evolution.
Okay.
You know? I mean, one Frankenstein mates with another human lady who's got a round head, and you get round head.
Oh, see, yeah. Your brain. So, Jack Pierce could have done that. Just
He
because
could
you
have.
flap and you can see your brain.
He could have, but he didn't.
Okay.
What's funny is I'm also related to Jack Pierce.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I think I ripped my
You know,
hat.
and one last thing to add. I went to, Guillermo del Toro had a display here at LACMA at the LA County Museum of Art. Did you go to that, David?
I wanted to,
I went.
but I have quite the love-hate relationship
Yeah.
with the Del Toro.
I'm with you too, but I just, I'm not a biggest fan of him. His movies. I think as a person, he's the best dude ever. He's out there fighting for artist, animator rights and a creative guy and let's get it done. Don't screw the execs. I love his attitude. I love the guy, and I'd love to support him. I'm not a fan of like little. What is that labyrinth? What are Pan's Labyrinth and those?
Oh shit!
Those just don't do it for me.
My wife, that's her favorite movie.
Okay. Yeah,
One of them.
It's fine. It's just that fantasy. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to bash him. I think he's a good dude.
Yeah, I hear.
But anyways,
I
went to because he has the most extensive collection of horror paraphernalia and stuff like that, and we went. It was phenomenal. He has. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen those pictures of his giant Boris head. It's probably as big as the studio. It's just the big giant head, flat top Frankenstein's monster head. It's on like a balcony, and they brought it. They recreated the entire interior of his. It is in his house, and then they brought that. So they recreated the whole balcony thing area of his own house there.
Wow.
So that was there. But then he has all these like full size. He has a thing of Jack Pierce putting on makeup. Like he has all these, mannequins.
Oh shit! Replicas of Jack Pierce himself.
Yeah,
putting on
makeup. He has all those like fairy bird, butterfly
Larry Bird
from those Pan's Labyrinth and stuff. He has a lot of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But then what I remember the most, he has actual pages from Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein graphic novel, bro.
Oh.
Pen and ink. They're not that big. They're like that.
Really?
Yeah, you'd think he inked them like that, but dude, like that's the pinnacle of all comic / pen and ink art for me. Besides like an original Jack Davis.
What's amazing though is when you think about, I don't know, just how we got to experience Bernie Wrightson when Bernie Wrightson was actually producing comic books. And I remember there was this Weird Tales comic book that he had done that my brother had gotten, and he was like showing it to me, and I was like, oh, this monster. Oh,
all right, let's just end this farce right now. I have to say, I've known all along that you're Jeff Allen in makeup. I apologize. I'm sorry. We try to get another guest, and my producers just keep giving me this guy, Jeff Allen.
I'm sorry I'm late. Hey. Who the fuck is this guy?
But, huh?